Well, hello guys, and welcome to my second stream on Twitch. Hope the volume's okay. I've spent a lot of time trying to fix it, and I hope the issues of the last stream don't haunt me today. So, how are you all? I'm glad you could join me. It's awesome that you could. I'm very excited. So. Well, hi Chris. Hello Rod. Hi Chrissy, Jay, Julia, Brian. I haven't been a stranger. No, I haven't, not really. I've been trying to get my head around all of this Twitch stuff. Oh, you meant Julia, I'm sorry. I'm reading the chat and trying to remember what I want to say. I'll just talk and I won't read the chat for a minute. Yeah, there is, and I apologise straight up. I didn't change the title of this stream. I went and made a coffee and I forgot to do it, so my bad. There is one thing that I want to talk about before we get into today's subject, and that is something personal to me that I'm very self-conscious of, and that is the fact that you have all probably noticed that on my YouTube videos and my last live stream that I have a bit of a neck twitch. Now, I am a bit self-conscious of it. It's not a nervous twitch. It is actually the result of a near-fatal motorbike accident a few weeks before my 21st birthday. And I spent almost 4 months in hospital with a broken wrist, broken collarbone, broken right elbow, fractured hip, and I displaced 4 of the vertebra from between my shoulder blades down. Now 3 of them have been fused, and that's why I have this little neck twitch. So I just wanted to clear that up because I am a bit self-conscious of it. Anyway, that's out of the way. We'll get right into what I wanted to talk about today, which is the lost the thread. Yes, converting Generation 4 DAZ Studio characters from their default 3Delight textures or materials, if you wish, to iRay. So you can actually leverage the power of the iRay render engine. All of the Generation 4 characters being, I suppose you'd say, quite old now. They all come with 3Delight. They don't have iRay, other than if you were to purchase some content from 7 on Renderosity. She has started supplying Firefly, Superfly, 3Delight and iRay textures or materials with her Generation 4 characters, and she still continues this to this day to produce stuff for or content for Victoria 4. Now this applies not just to Victoria 4, or to be more accurate, 4.2. Yeah, I know, Rod. It applies to the Girl 4 and Michael 4 and any other Generation 4 character, even Stephanie 4 if you have it, and that was a dead flop. So I'm going to run through, and I preloaded it because it just saves time, and then I don't have to worry about you watching the Generation 4 characters loaded. Now I have 4 or 5 that are in the scene, and we'll go through those as we move along. I have 2 fully customized Generation 4 characters, and if you look up the top here, I've got Victoria Full, Ultimate Full, Now that's got pretty much every Victoria 4 morph known to man baked into the character mesh, and the same with Michael for full preloaded. Now with Michael and with Victoria, they both come with anatomically correct genitalia. That's all I can say. And I have deleted them in this instance, and I've also put some clothes on the characters just to satisfy the rules of Twitch. And I read them again the other day, and there is no nudity, not whatsoever, not even artistic nudity. So, and yeah, so anyway, this is the standard Girl 4 that I have loaded here, and I've just put some basic wear on her for modesty reasons. Now, these are, if I can find her again, there we go. If you go into the surfaces, if I just pick, say, the skin torso, you will see that these are definitely 3Delight materials or textures. They don't have, there's no PBR in here, there's no metallicity or roughness or anything. It's just stock standard, and you will find that they don't even have any bump maps or normal maps associated with it. So it's pretty much straight out of the box. If I was to render this now in iRay very quickly, you'll notice that even though DAZ Studio does a very good job of converting them in iRay on the fly, it's flat. It's just dead flat. There's no depth to it. There's no detail. It's just, it looks pretty flat. Okay, now, if any of you are well, I'll explain that, Rod. That's, yeah, in a minute. I'm going to apply a character preset now, and if any of you are familiar with a chap on both DeviantArt and ArtStation, it's a guy by the name of R.R. Ward, and he, for the last 10 to 12 years, has been used, well, he created a character called Little Bit. And Rebel Mummy actually created the original morphs for Little Bit, but he made a career out of the Little Bit character. So without further ado, I'm just going to apply the character. And the base mat. Okay, and we'll give her, it doesn't really matter what colour eyes. And some okay. Now I'm not going to put any hair on her for the minute, basically because it will distract a little bit from what I want to show you. Now, they're still 3Delight textures. They haven't changed. They're still 3Delight. Now, there are two ways that you can do this. You can use the iRay DAZ Studio iRay Uber shader and just hold the control key down and double click it, and it will do its level best to convert it to iRay textures. It's a bit hit and miss from time to time. I find it easier to use, and I have to find it, is 3Digitimes Script, which converts the 3Delight materials into iRay. Now, it's currently on sale at DAZ Studio, DAZ 3D, sorry, if you want to go and have a look. But right for the minute, I'm just going to do the iRay conversion from the Uber shader, and we'll get round to this one in a minute. Now I have to trawl through and find the shader preset if my NAS device behaves itself. Come on. It's been playing up lately, and I do apologise for that. Anytime you're ready. Sorry about this. Yes, it does work. Yeah, I'm unfortunately, I have a notebook that I'm running this on, and I can't put any more drives in it. But I do have a desktop that I'm building. It's quite a powerful one, but I need to put a new graphics card in it because it's only got a GTX 750 Ti with 2 gig of RAM on it. So it's not really as powerful as I would like it to be. So it's a bit slow. Oh, here we go. Shader presets, DAZ Studio, iRay. Come on. Whoops, I've gone past it. Here we go. Whoops. Where were I? DAZ Uber. Now this is the little one over here I was talking about. This is the standard iRay Uber shader that just basically sets up the shader to be iRay and will convert the textures and the surfaces to iRay. If you were to just double click it now, you would see that all the texture maps would disappear. They just would disappear. But there's a trick to it. If you hold down the control key before you actually now I've lost the stream. This is just ridiculous. Oh, it's not that. Well, I don't know what happened there. Weird. Anyway, holding down the control key, double click, and you'll be presented with a material preset load option. But instead of replace, we have to select ignore. And by selecting ignore, it will not wipe out all the textures. It will leave the textures as they are, and it will convert it. And I don't know what happened there. That is just weird. Oh, it's only, oh, Stephen, my fault. We'll do that again for all of them, not just the torso. Now you should see a difference now in that all of the textures have now been converted to iRay PBR. They still, and it will create a base bump map for you, which didn't exist before. And she will look a lot better when you, oh, wrong one, you render her in iRay. You'll have to excuse me, folks, I'm as nervous as a preschooler on their first day of school doing this Twitch streaming, so bear with me. As you can see, the textures look a lot better, but we can actually go through and we can play now with the glossy layered weight, we can play with the bump strength. But she's now been iRayed for all intents and purposes, as you can see. And the skin textures look a lot better than they did before. And there's a lot more detail. A lot more detail than there was before. Now, one of the things, or one of the areas I wanted to talk about was actually the cornea, which should have a surface that has an IOR, an index of refraction, but unfortunately it doesn't. V3Digitimes converter will occasionally do it, but it depends on the surface of the original cornea on whether it does or whether it doesn't. But to the rescue is the DAZ iRay Uber shader called Water Thin. Now I have these all set up on my desktop toolbars here, but I'm going to do it the long way just to show you how it works. Now it's the same process. Hold down the control key, double click on the thin water, select ignore and accept. Now as you can see here, it's changed it to water thin. And if I scroll down to refraction index is 1.33. Now for an eye surface it should be 1.38. And you can look that up because I did. And you can actually see that the surface of the eye has become more reflective, which is really what we want. Especially when we add a specular light to highlight the eyes. So that's what I'm going to do now, is just add a specular light. Now I use one from, and just going off on a tangent, is that not only do I have a lot of toolbars and pull down menus, but I've disabled a few of the pull down menus just to clean the interface up. I use Render Studio by Colin Jackson a lot, particularly for his specular lights. I could have made my own, but I didn't bother. So again, I always control before I double click on anything, and then I not replace all the lights, but I add it. Now I can add that in. So that will now give me a specular light, which I can now position properly at her eyes. And you can parent this to the head so that when you move her or you move the light, it will move with the head, and yeah, you won't have to keep repositioning it. So if I go back to the camera now, whoops, I want to go down here quickly and just crank that up. That's the standard or the default, but I normally take it up to 8 just to give it some oomph. The right camera, I keep clicking on the wrong things. Now you'll definitely notice a difference now, and if I keep cranking that value up, the skin textures have improved a great deal. Now we could play around with the actual skin surfaces now, and if I was to just go skin face and just make sure I've got the face on, yeah, that's what I wanted. And I come down to the bump channel, and your base bump is set reasonably low. Now I could crank that up to a little more, and you're getting a little more detail, as you can see, on the skin surface. It's a case of trial and error, but at least now you have your character converted to iRay, and you can play around with the with all the channels in the shader itself. Where was the one I wanted to look at? Was the not the base color. I've lost it. Her subsurface scattering has disappeared. It's amazing when you do this. You do this when you're when you run through it on your own, when you're not live, and it all goes so smoothly. As soon as you're at the other end of the camera and you're talking to people on the other end of the camera looking at you, it all goes to you know what. Maybe it's just my nerves, I don't know. It's just anyway. What was I going to do? Oh, I've forgotten now. No, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I can't even read the stream deck. No, not right, sorry. That's the one I want. It's amateur hour at the moment at my place. Really is. Yeah, it is translucency, Chris. You're dead right. But from here you can actually change all the things you like. Now I usually add a subsurface scattering channel to this, and I don't know why in this particular case the converter didn't use it. So I think it's probably got to do with the fact that I just used the DAZ iRay Uber shader and not 3Digitimes shader, which I'm going to apply now. And I can do that right over the top of what I did with the iRay Uber shader. It doesn't really matter, but we need to select all the surfaces in the Surfaces tab before we do this. So I'm going to go back to Mr. iRay Converter and run V3Digitimes. Now you don't have to hold the control key on this, and it will convert it. Aha, you see? It all sets it up with all the right translucency and all the other channels set the way it should be set. Transmission color, your subsurface scattering, And I use this all the time, and I do believe it's well worth the purchase price. It's not a lot of money. You could look it up if you wish and see how much it is. But you see he's added a water thin now to the eyes, and if I go down to the IOR, well, he's got it at 1.36, but it should actually be 1.38, but I suppose that's a little arbitrary. Now, if I just do a preview iRay on this now, you'll see there's a noticeable difference in the quality of the surfaces, particularly around the eyes. You've got much more depth, and you can actually play around with the with all the surfaces in here, with the bump map strength if you wanted to, but it gives you a very good basis, a very good start to where you need to be. You see, with V3Digitimes Scripts, it will add the proper base bump level. He also has, I do think it's a he, I could be wrong, he or she, has some other stuff that will increase or decrease the base coat, or the colours, the brightness, or your gloss management. You can increase it in increments. Now, I'm not quite sure what the increments are, but if I was to increase the glossiness slightly, you can see it's starting to come out a little bit. We also have some translucency options in here, which will give you some scattering effects from, you know, very low up to quite high. Now, bear in mind, I've only got the specular iLight and the environment HDR running. I do not have a lot of lights in here. But that is a spectacular difference between the original 3Delight texture that DAZ Studio tried its best to convert. Spectacular difference. And I can tell you, Rod, I know that the Girl 4 is your, or one of your favourite characters, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing this with your girls from TNA, I assure you. It's, yeah, when I ran across it, it changed the way I looked at Generation 4 characters. I do predominantly use Generation 4 characters, or Genesis 3. I'm not that impressed with Genesis 2 or Genesis 8. It's either Victoria 4, Michael 4, or Genesis 8, male and female. But little point of fact here, while I'm talking to you, is that the quantity of content available on all of the vendor sites, Renderosity, not so much DAZ 3D anymore because they're starting to pare it back, but particularly on Renderosity and Runtime DNA when it was there, Content Paradise when it was still there. The amount of content available for Generation 4 characters still outnumbers and still outsells all the other character bases combined. It still outsells the Genesis 2, Genesis 3 and Genesis 8. I still prefer to play with the Gen 4 characters, particularly Victoria 4.2. I have a lot of fixed morphs that I have bought over the years that I still apply today, like real details, which I'm not actually sure whether you can buy them anymore. If I can remember where I put it. I might just go back to full screen here for a minute, because I need to do this, and I think there might be some content in there that's not suitable for... Yeah, I was right. Where are we? Real details. Now we can go back to where we were. Right. Now these are by Iron Man 13, and you can buy them on Renderosity still. They're called Real Details for DAZ Studio. And all you do is inject them, and I'll go over to parameters first. Inject them. And then we go down to injection channels, community. And we can just set these to 20 level you want, but I normally just set them to 1. And it gives you some real details, and you can see that they're actually, if I just go up here a bit, you'll see that the details in the feet have actually increased. Yeah, Rod, I agree. I'll never get rid of Generation 4 because it's not the character I started with. It was actually Victoria 3, but hey, Captain, how you doing? Yeah, I still prefer Gen 4, working with Gen 4 characters. I just find it, I find it more pleasing, I suppose. You know, I just do, and it's, if I'm just going to scroll down to here, I'll just put some hair on her, just for, you know, what's it and giggles, just because I can. Any hair, other, it's not made for the girl 4, but if I can remember where it is. Not made for the girl 4, and it doesn't have one. No. Chest, neck, morphs, fittings. There we go. Whoop. That's a bit spectacular, isn't it? Yes. Anyway. We'll just make it a different colour. You'll also notice that in the hair tab it is still 3Delight. Now you can do exactly the same thing and convert that to Uber iRay by using the ignore. You hit the accept button, and you can also do it with the clothes as well, which are still 3Delight. Now we'll be cooking with gas. I might even just put a pose on her in a minute, just to, because I can. And as you can see, she's looking pretty fine, but I don't like that a lot. Where's the neck? I'll take that down a bit. That's better. Right. Much better. Let's put a pose on her. Just because I can. Where are we? Poses. As you can see, I have a lot of my things in categories because it's just the way I am. Where are we? Oh, I've lost it now. Dance. No. action, no, 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 I can't find it. Where's it gone? Oh, that'll do, one of them. So there you have your Generation 4 converted to iRay. Oh, okay. And I could probably take that glossiness down a bit more, because I think it's a bit too much. Yeah, that's better. And I'll just add a subdivision and a smoothing modifier to her, which I find always helps. Turn it up a bit, give it a bit more resolution. And this is basically my workflow in a nutshell when I'm working with Gen 4 characters. I do tend to use the same things that I'm using now. Good on you, Rod. So it's that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. I will, if I can find it quickly. Where did I put it? Yeah, here we go. I'll just stop that rendering. For any of you that have been on my ArtStation page, that character there that you see on screen now is a 7 character that was converted, a Generation 4 character converted to iRay. As you can see, the detail is pretty wicked. It's just, yeah, pretty wicked. And you can get some really spectacular results converting your Generation 4 characters. That's another one, even though there's a post effect on it through Photoshop, that is again another Generation 4 character. The same with this one. And that one is also a Gen 4 character converted to iRay using the iRay lights, and everything in it is for iRay. Now this is a Michael 4 character. That picture's also on my ArtStation page. Now that was converted from 3Delight to iRay, and it's the Jekyll and Hyde package from, and I can't remember, I will post the link on Discord under Discoveries so that you can go and have a look if you want to, if you're into male characters. I don't do a lot of male characters, but this one was a lot of fun to play with. But if I zoom in quite, you can see the amount of detail and the effect that you can get when you've converted your iRay, your 3Delight textures to iRay. It's just phenomenal. And then all you've got to do is play with the lighting. And once you've got that, it opens up a whole new world for Generation 4 characters. I just like using Generation 4, and I have got so much content that I have either purchased or acquired from free download sites like Share CG, and on the free stuff on Renderosity, and sometimes the free stuff that you get on DAZ Studio. Unfortunately, Runtime DNA has gone the way of the dodo, and yeah, so really the only marketplace at the moment online is Renderosity, and even some of their content, their products from their most successful vendors, you'll notice that they're marked as NLA or no longer available, which is a shame. But I have so much content, I don't think I need to buy any more for Victoria 4. So, well, that's pretty much how you do it and convert it for 3Delight to, from 3Delight to iRay. I like doing it. It's a lot of fun. It's an awful lot of fun, and you can still purchase a lot of this content on Renderosity and DAZ 3D, particularly the V3Digitimes converter for Generation 4 from 3Delight to iRay. I do suggest that you check that out because it's well worth the purchase price. If there's anything you're going to buy this month, go and buy that one or put it on your wish list. So my coffee's gone cold, as it has a tendency to do when I'm talking. So I think that's probably about it from me today. Next stream I'm going to do part 2 of customizing the DAZ toolbars and menus, because there was quite a bit of stuff that, due to the technical difficulties throwing me off script, I didn't get around to showing you. So I'm going to sign off now and say goodbye, and thank you all very much for watching me today. I hope you all got something out of it. Go away now, enjoy your afternoon or evening, and play with Generation 4 iRay conversion. You'll love it. Okay, so I'm going to say good night, and it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Bye.